Hello, everyone, and welcome to part two of the first Hunger Games movie talk thing. As you saw or heard from last week's episode, I ended up splitting this into two parts because we talked for a long time, and I couldn't bear to cut too much out. So this is going to pick up right where last week's episode left off. And also, if you remember from last week, my friend Sarah, who was with us, had to leave because of technical difficulties, but I still wanted her to be involved in some way, shape, or form for part two. So she sent me a message that she wanted me to read out loud, just with some general thoughts to add in. And so here it is. So when I think of Hunger Games, I really think of it as a cultural shift. We have a strong female character who has been put in circumstances that she's never wanted to be placed in, taking the place of someone that she loves to protect them. And there are so many perilous ways that this could kill her. She's likable that she becomes the face of a movement. She is our girl on fire. She is our Mockingjay. She is a young woman, a woman that is unafraid to back down. The moment that always sticks out to me watching the first movie is when she volunteers as tribute for Prim. I know it is the most stereotypical moment to really remember, but that is a girl willing to sacrifice everything, including her life, for what she loves. This is such a strong motivation and such a strong part of her character. That's what really makes me love Katniss Everdeen, even if I've never read the books and even if the movies are very new to my life. She's willing to give up everything for love. And this is how you know Sarah is a great writer, because that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sending that in. And I can't wait to record more episodes with you, and I really hope for the next movie discussion, technology won't be against you. Anyway, so let's get into part two, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Okay.
Don't kill
I
me.
know Gabby and I are gonna start wanting to dive into like things that were left out of the books to tell you guys about. But before we do, Patrick and Lillie, I don't know, just tell me any other lingering thoughts you have, maybe like a particular scene that you really love or really hit you.
Or that really struck you because of the kiss that was in it.
Yeah, so go crazy because Gabby's crazy.
Wait, you mean the is that the cave scene? Is that what you guys are talking about? We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about the cave scene in a minute.
I have something to say about that.
Yeah.
I think mostly like getting back. Also, I remember the fire they started to get her back. Like that pissed me off, just because of my job now.
Yeah.
But, also, just like looking at like the whole technology that system they have to like, they created the beast things attacked.
The mutts.
The mutts, yeah.
Mutts, yeah.
They just like, and then all of a sudden a few more just appeared out of nowhere, like, what? And then, they had the fireballs and the fire. And also, I mean, I don't know if we only saw this because the movie was focused on Katniss, but like, did they do anything else to any of the other tributes? Or is it just her because she was, District 12, scored an 11? Is it because of her, they didn't want her to win? Like,
well, it's more like the irony of, oh my god, look, because we nicknamed her Girl on Fire, look at how she's being chased by a like, isn't it so funny? And actually the careers, like, they don't show it in the movie, but in the book it says that the careers were nearby, so they were a little affected by the fire and smoke too, because Katniss notes that they were running slower than usual, which is part of the reason why she was able to get up the tree in time.
And also
Cato fall off the tree is one of my favorite things.
And also that it's mentioned in the books, but was not done in the movie, thank the Lord, was the fact that the mutts in the book had like similar facial structure than the fallen tributes. So pretty much the mutts were the fallen tributes.
Yeah.
And revived and made into those.
Yeah, and they could stand, and the mutts could stand like on their hind legs, almost like humans as well. So, and by the way, Cato's death in the book is so gruesome because, like, he falls off like the thing after Katniss shoots him in the hand, like you see in the movie. And in the movie, it's like they still show it. And it's like, ooh, this is awful. And Katniss gives the mercy kill. In the book, Cato falling off the cornucopia is like happening at sunset, and it lasts all night. Like the game makers don't speed up the night. It goes on forever because Cato's wearing body armor because that was in his pack at the feast for the thing he desperately needed. So it takes a while. It is dragged out, and he is fighting mutts who look like people he killed, who look like his friends. And the book kind of implies that he and Clove, his district partner, had a close relationship. I think they just omitted that from the movie because at the time the actress playing Clove was like 14, 15, and like Alexander Ludwig I think might have been 20, so that would have been weird. So that's why they almost kind of paired him off with Glimmer. But in the book it's implied he and Clove had a close relationship. So you can imagine like how like the psychological just torture in a sense that he's fighting people who he kind of considered friends, someone he was close with, and it drags for hours, and Katniss and Peeta have to listen to it. And Katniss has to rip off part of her shirt to bind Peeta's leg because his leg wound was reopened. By the way, the injury when Cato stabbed him with the sword, when Katniss got the medicine for him, it had to be a needle injected in him because he had blood poisoning.
Oof.
Oh.
Really close to death.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So like literally the movie was PG-10, PG-13. The book is brutal.
Yeah.
Would it be like R or NC-17?
Oh, definitely. Like with Peeta's wound, they describe you could see like bone, and there was constantly like bleeding, and then like there like there's not a lot of like talk or shown about like all the burns that Katniss sustained. In the book, she was badly burned, and part of her like arms, and part of her torso, and part of her leg.
Yeah.
And in the book, it is described how she has to like yank the melted kind of like cloth off of the wounds and try to like scrape it off, including part of her like skin. It is very, very much described, and in the movie, it's like a circle that probably it hurts a lot, but it's like a circle, and it's not as gruesomely filmed in general.
Suzanne Collins does not gloss over anything, and I especially in like the later books with Mockingjay when we're really dealing with like the heavy themes of war, which we'll get to eventually, and I'll be even sadder than I am now.
Yes.
All right. I have one question that'll probably lead into the book to movie discussion. Remind me about the Mockingjay pen.
Okay, yeah, that's important. So,
okay.
So actually, Lillie, like, what's your overall impression of the Mockingjay as someone who's only seen the movies? Because this is important.
Yeah, so I don't remember any movies past the first one, to be honest, since it was like, even I couldn't remember that I saw them.
But just even from this first
But just the
like,
first one,
Mockingjay.
I don't know, I don't feel like it played that much of significance. Like, it showed up at the beginning, and then like, I don't know, I feel like if it was there, I didn't notice it. I didn't know until like at the end when what was Cinna was like zipping up her thing and she's showing it was at the end, right? Like
right before she went into the arena.
Yeah. And that was like the only time I remember seeing it, and I was like, okay.
And this is one of the movie's like big flaws when they were adapting that they didn't really think about. And which it sucks because the Mockingjay becomes like the symbol of the whole franchise, essentially.
I mean, they have a whole book about
it. The last book is called Mockingjay.
Yeah.
So basically, the history with Mockingjays that we find out in the books is that during like the dark days, like original Rise Up Rebellion, the Capitol created these mutts called Jabberjays, which were these birds designed to like go spy on the rebels, and they can copy human speech perfectly, so they could take information back to the Capitol. But not the Capitol. The rebels had figured out what they were doing, so they purposely gave the Jabberjays false information to give back to the Capitol. And once the Capitol realized this, they realized the Jabberjays were completely useless, so they just put them all in the wild to die off because all the Jabberjays were male. But
the Jabberjays ended up mating with local female mockingbirds to create mockingjays, which can copy music perfectly. So it is something that the Capitol did not intend to create, and hence why they get compared to Katniss, because she is something the Capitol did not intend to create.
Wow.
Interesting.
And there's and the pin in the movie, you see she just randomly gets it when she's at the hall, but in the book it's given to her by a character who was cut from the movie, Madge, who is the daughter of the mayor of District 12, and they have like a sort of like friendly relationship at school, but they are not like super close. But Madge actually comes to say goodbye to Katniss, and she gives Katniss the pin because it's a like a pin from her family. She's like, hey, can you have this be your district token? Will you wear it in the arena? And Katniss like, sure. And then and then Madge gives her the pin, and we'll find out in Catching Fire that her giving Katniss the pin will have even more significant meaning because of backstory we learn in Catching Fire.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was like completely different because
I know.
so she also, so in the book, did they have longer to talk to people then if like she talked to this person, like this random person?
Yeah, because she because like her mom and sister come to visit her and they talk a little longer.
Because mom didn't even say anything because I remember she was like, shut down again. You can't shut down again.
Okay. And then like Madge comes and gives her the pin, and Peeta's dad in the book actually comes to say goodbye to Katniss as well, gives her some cookies and promises to make sure that
when Peeta dies, he doesn't get killed horribly.
Yeah. And promises to take care of Prim too, because fun fact that the movie doesn't tell you, Peeta's father originally wanted, when they were young, originally wanted to marry Katniss's mother, but she obviously fell in love with Mr. Everdeen and ran off with the minor, which caused a little bit of a scandal because Katniss's mom was originally from like the merchant class of District 12, which is the like which is like the wealthier class. So she was expected to marry someone within that class, but instead she's like, no, I like this minor guy. He has a great singing voice. Bye.
Yes, and Katniss was born, so Peeta's father always had almost like a soft spot for the sisters.
Yeah.
Especially because of the mom.
Yeah.
So it was almost for the Peeta's father, almost like fate that his own son would end up going with his crush's eldest daughter up to the arena.
Yep.
So it was kind of like
love.
yeah, a like awkward moment, but also
awkward.
And also because Peeta had always had a crush on Katniss, always. Mm-hmm. So it was like the dad had a crush on the mother, the son had a crush on the daughter.
Yeah. Because we brought up the pin and Madge, other characters that were kind of cut from the movie that were in the book. So another like set of characters that was like really important and a very memorable part of the book that was in the movies was Katniss's prep team, like the ones who like shaved her, did her hair, did her makeup before Cinna came in and was like, here's your gorgeous outfit.
Literally there were like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And in the movie it's like two people in the background. It's like, why?
Yeah, there's three of them. Octavia, Flavius, and oh god, why am I blanking on the third one's name?
Yes, it's Toby Maple. Give me, I know his name. Give me a second. Give Mom a second. I know. I will stop repeating. I know. Give me a second.
Right now, dang it.
Can I just say that scene? I know like at the beginning they showed a bunch of people, so I wasn't even sure that like the whole time they were working on Katniss.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I was there like
in the book each tribute gets their own like prep team of 3 people.
Cladius Temple. That was played by Toby Jones, who is an amazing actor. And
that's not the prep team.
No, but it was Cladius, Flavius, and because there was Portia also.
No, Portia was Peeta's stylist.
Yeah.
Venia, that's
yes.
Okay, so Venia, Octavia, and Flavius are the 3 members of Katniss's prep team who aren't really in the movie, but because they offer like a window into the more like average capital citizen, because they're like, even more enthusiastic about the games than Effie is. Um, and and like the scene that always gets me, and Katniss like recognizes that they essentially are innocents because they're brainwashed. They didn't choose any of this, just like how she didn't choose to be born in District 12, which is fascinating because we see later on Gale doesn't even have sympathy for people like that. Um, and also the scene that always gets me at the end when they're prepping Katniss for her final interview after the games is like when they're talking about the games, they like revolve it back around to themselves. They talk about like what they were doing when certain things happened. They're like, "Oh, I was like getting my eyebrows done when she did that, and it was so heartbreaking or whatever." And it's like, "Oh my god!" Like these
Yes,
people are in a completely different reality.
and also how important fashion is in the capital and how different the fashion is.
Yeah, speaking.
Because
Yeah, what are your favorite outfits, guys?
There are so many.
I
I
know.
just saw a bunch of Brian and I was like, whoa, this is
I
different.
mean,
Well,
Alyson, you already know my never-ending hatred of the red dress and the interview. In the book, it was so well done, and in the movie, it was like, here, a red dress,
Yeah,
done.
Jennifer Lawrence is great in it, but it's like did not match up to that.
Book's description.
Yeah, I should have marked this. What was I thinking?
No, literally how it was described in the book, it was like almost like if fire engulfed her,
Yeah.
and like the red of the dress almost became like flames, which was great.
Yeah.
And in the movie, we got barely a sliver on the rim.
Okay, so Katniss opens her eyes, sees herself in the dress for the first time. This is what it says. The creature standing before me in the full-length mirror has come from another world, where skin shimmers and eyes flash, and apparently they make their clothes from jewels, because my dress, oh my dress, is entirely covered in reflective precious gems, red and yellow and white with bits of blue that accent the tips of the flame designs. The slightest movement gives the impression I am engulfed in tongues of fire. I am not pretty, I am not beautiful, I am as radiant as the sun. Movie did not live up to that. Yeah. And although I do like the yellow dress that she wears at the end with the final interview.
I don't remember what that one looked like.
I think that a better rendition of that description would have been a similar dress to what Catriona Gray wore in Miss Universe 2018.
Ooh. Yeah.
Which, please, listeners, go and Google that specific dress, because that dress resembles a lot more to what was described in the book as Katniss's dress, and in the movie they placed a beautiful creature such as Jennifer Lawrence in a very mediocre, beautiful but mediocre red dress. Why?
Thing I kind of liked Clove's orange dress better than Katniss's red dress in the movie.
Yes. Or Glimmer's dress. It was so puffy.
Yeah. Although I'm almost okay with that because in the book she's wearing like an almost see-through dress to make her like sexy, and again, which is just because it's a 17-year-old girl.
Yes, but all the careers kind of like had to like almost already knew how to get sponsors and what their strong suits were, while the rest of the tributes were left with figure it out. You have 2 weeks, go.
But also I think we talked about how there's some holes in the careers training, because they know how to make the audience like them, yes they know how to fight, but it's like they're almost helpless when once their food supply is destroyed and they're left to their own devices.
Exactly. It's like, wouldn't they have already known that weather things are especially difficult and especially important in the arena, because none of them knew how to either make a fire or survive until bad weather situations. And that when those things happened were the years that non-career tributes won, because apparently people from different districts knew how to adapt to climate changes and overall natural disasters and careers didn't. It's like, I know how to bash someone's head 1,000 different ways, but give me a flood and I have no clue what to do.
Like Candace even says, like, because those districts are richer and better taken care of, like they don't deal with hunger the same way that she does, because that scene that you see in the flashback at the beginning of the movie where PETA threw Katniss that bread that saved her life, like in the book they were like 11 when that happened, by the way, and she was like almost starving to death. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah, they're like the same age as they were in
yeah.
movies.
But no, she was 11 because it's like her father had just died. Her mom was like in such like a deep depression that she was like unresponsive. So
Yeah.
like 11-year-old Katniss like took over the role as being head of the family, and like she collapsed in front of the bakery one day. She couldn't sign up for tesserae yet to get extra food, so from the capital, which exchange putting your name in more times.
And
So
not only that, like the movie also glosses over one of the biggest things about or aspects about District 12 was the fact of how even women sold themselves to the
yeah,
peacekeepers in exchange for money or in exchange for food. And Katniss actually says in the book that she would have been one of the girls offering herself to eat like any of the high rank peacemakers if she was older, but she wasn't because she was 11 and therefore she was not exactly desirable. So even doing that was not a choice, which is heartbreaking. And I'm very like not glad, but it's like I understand why they didn't add it in the movie, because that scraps the whole concept of the movie being for children
yeah.
in a sense a lot.
Yeah, luckily for Katniss, like she was too young to be desirable at the time, and thankfully at that point she had already learned enough from her father to go into the woods and start gathering food.
Which also gave her like the ultimate kind of like upper hand, because she was actually in the first arena that she was in, it was a very similar or the same environment that she always kind of like already trained in. She was already a hunter. She was already like used to the woods. She was already like used to hunger. She was already used how to cover her tracks, how to
hide the fact that she was there and like hide from the big like spaceship thing.
exactly. So pretty much it's almost ironic because she was from the poorest district. However, the way that they made the arena, she was the only one with a chance of surviving. So since the first moment, everyone else, all of the tributes, including the careers, were already done for, which is quite ironic.
Fate wanted
A
her.
skinny girl from the poorest district, it was like almost if the games had already been kind of like rigged since the beginning, like almost fate worked like that, like the games were almost rigged. And because all like everything that was created, instead of punishing the districts, were almost helping them survive instead of the careers, don't you think?
Yeah, 'cause they had to learn survival. That's like their training, basically survival, not just killing.
And what do you think? What do you think, Alyson? Shall we go into your favorite scene?
Oh yeah, the train scene, and how it was royally screwed up in the movie. So, like, okay, movie goers.
What's up?
What's your point of view of the cave scene? Just so you know, we have the different point of views.
Yeah, so I just kind of saw it as both of them trying to hide from from the other people that were trying to kill them, and they have the kissing scene, that special kiss, and then it cuts to Gale looking all mopey
Like,
and stuff, just like, ugh, why? He has that expression on his face, just like.
By the way, up until this point, Gale had been like at school, was like known for being a little bit of a player, and he's kissed multiple girls before in the past, so double standard much.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And he was at the time like flirting with a different girl when Katniss went away. So him acting all hurt and kind of like wrong, just like, dude, she is not even your girlfriend, and you were like doing, I don't know, like monkey business with some other girl. So literally, he had no right to do that mopey face because they were not anything.
which wasn't described in the movie, but in the books, it's like totally thing.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And said, and literally Katniss is just trying to survive.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, who knows? She might even like die, so like you'd never get the chance anyway. So
I know,
like,
like,
why does
that
it
was
matter?
really-
Like they both could die. Like why can't they just, whatever? Like
I mean, in that situation, I think most things are forgivable. It's like he was not even angry that she potentially could become a murderer. He was angry that she kissed another dude in a life and death situation. Really? What are your priorities?
yeah, they're like
like, I know teenage boys are dumb, but what the fuck, Gail?
I mean, literally, it's like, how is kissing another dude like more evil than murder? Seriously?
But I will say, based on what I saw as a moviegoer, I thought it was kind of long. So I kind of was just like, okay.
What do you think, Lily, of the cave scenes?
okay, so that was another thing that I thought came too quickly.
Mhm.
I remember, I mean, maybe I like missed something, but all of a sudden, like I see like she kissed him, and I was like, wait, was that real? Like I didn't even know like if it was her being sincere or like I don't know if they're just trying to do it for like the show or I don't know. I just didn't like. I just felt like it just happened, and I was like, oh, okay. And then like next thing they're like cuddled up together, and I'm like, oh, yeah, or okay. I don't know. I thought it kind of happened too quickly, but
So in the book, naturally, because book to movie, the cave, they are in the cave for far longer, like multiple days, and it's hard to describe unless you're like reading it, but it's like it almost feels like they get a pause from the games, like almost as if they're on vacation, and it's just like a nice, like calm, kind of comforting feeling as they're in the cave together, because you're still kind of traumatized from Rue dying, because that like just happened. So it's like you get a little bit of relief while they're in the cave, and it's just like two people connecting, and Katniss kind of working through her emotions, because she like just fully believes that this is all an act, this is all for the cameras. But then as she and Peeta start talking more, she starts to realize that, oh shit, this dude might actually have genuine feelings for me, because he tells the story of their first day of school, and how he saw her, and his father pointed her out to him and said, "Oh, I wanted to marry that girl's mother when we were kids, but she ran off with the minor." And Peter's like, "Oh, but why'd she choose the minor over you?" And he's like, "Oh, because when he sang, all the mockingjays fell silent to listen to him sing. And then on the first day of school, on music assembly, the teacher's like, who knows the Valley song? Little Katniss, who learned it from her father, raised her hand, started singing, and all the birds fell silent." And Pete is like, "That's when I knew I was a goner."
Oh.
And he also remembered that her hair was in two braids instead of one, and he remembered the exact dress that she was wearing. And even Katniss herself didn't know, couldn't remember.
Because Katniss knew in the back of her mind in this moment that, okay, we need to play up the love story for the cameras, for the sponsors, so Haymitch will send us food. And so Katniss just like does her best to play into it, and is like, "Oh, when did you realize you fell in love with me, Peeta?" And Peeta starts telling that story, and Katniss realizes like there's a lot of truth to those details, and she's like, "And if that's true, what else is true?"
Because she always thought that he was lying when he said that he had been sent to the arena with his crush. She was like, he's only messing with me. He's only trying to trick me or like help me when I don't need help. But at that point, she realized like, there's like, he's joking, he's lying. That
this is
point,
not an act.
it's like, oh, she literally goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah. And like, and it's such a sweet moment when Peeta's telling the story, because in the book he not the book, in the movie, it's like as soon as she gets him in the cave, he's like oh, I remember when I first saw you, I watched you walk home every day.
Yeah,
It was like,
it's too rushed. Yeah,
rushes right through that.
yeah.
It's like the director knew was a key moment from the book that readers would want, but he just like brushed right through it. It didn't take the time to slow down and makes Peeta sound a little creepy, but
Yeah.
and also when he says like, I should have just gone to the rain and talked to you, I shouldn't have just tossed you that bread, I think about it all the time. In the book, Peeta does not think about that all the time. To him, it was just a moment. Like, of course I would do this thing for someone, especially someone that I care about, because Katniss thinks about it all the time because she feels like she owes Peeta this great debt. And to Peeta, he's just like, I think we can let that go now, Katniss.
Can I just say, like, in the movie, I didn't understand like that part. Like, the only reason why I knew is because I read like the beginning of the Wikipedia article about the movie. And I was like, oh, but like I feel like in the movie, maybe I just like it went over my head, but I just like did not understand like what was going on in those like flashbacks. But yeah, the only reason why I like really knew what was going on was because I read the Wikipedia article.
And then the movies also kind of make Peeta seem weaker than he actually is, because when Katniss goes to the feast to get the medicine for him, he's just like, asleep, and he's just, and before he was very weak, like, hey, promise me you won't go, and she's like, yeah, sure, I won't go, and then he like falls asleep, and she's like, this thing, she comes back, he wakes up, and he's like, what, you went? and then does the whole like Simba thing when he rubs the cream on her forehead. But
Simba.
yeah, but in the book, like they argue about it. Peeta's like, if you go, I will drag myself out of this cave and scream your name, and someone will come along and kill me. Like, he is determined not to let her go, to the point where Haymitch ends up sending her like sleep syrup to knock him out, so she slips it in his food, and by the time he realizes what's up, he even tries to like spit it out, but she forces it down his throat, and that finally makes him pass out.
Oof.
Literally. And in the books, he is much like one of the main things about Peeta is that his physique and his personality are two completely different. He is very like tall and like almost bear-like as a person physically, and but however his personality is quite he like in the book he makes a lot of jokes, and he is a bundle of joy, and he is very sweet and very kind. And the fact that he decorates cakes beautifully, and he can paint, and he does such delicate work because his hands are massive, and he is a very like large boy. And the fact that he does such delicate work, how which is polar opposites to his physique, because it's not as much shown in the movie, but in the book it is described how physically strong he is, how he can lift big kind of like sacks of like flour that are like pounds and pounds over his head like it's nothing, and how at some point in like physical combat he carries one of the tributes over his head.
Wow.
Which is massive, and he's able to do that. That's why Cato, because at the beginning in the movie you don't understand why Cato wanted him in his team, but in the book, because in the training it described that, you understand why Peeta physically is an asset. And also is one of the biggest threats. You can run whatever you want, but once someone as strong as Peeta catches you, you're done.
Like it was just kind of like glanced over or glazed over or something. Like they were just working together, and like I just didn't understand. I mean, like I understood why they wanted him because they were trying to find her, but like also I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me. Like the whole like backstory of how that happened. It's like, oh, okay, but why would you want to trust these people? I don't know.
In the book, after, and this part isn't shown in the movie obviously, but after the Victor gets out of the games, there's like this whole ceremony where they sit down with Caesar Flickerman and they watch like essentially like a big recap of the games, which has got to be so hard on the victor because it's like, oh, here's all these people that are dead now. I'm watching a movie about
That's traumatizing.
it's Katniss mentions in like, you know, the book in her narration that it does show the part where Peeta meets up with the careers and manipulates them into letting them be part of it so he can like for him he's telling them like, oh yeah, I'll help you track her down, but you know like internally he's like, I'm gonna lead them away from Katniss.
Yeah.
And how he like purposely helps hide all her tracks in general, and how he constantly protects her, which in the movie it is not as shown. And I think it was mainly done because Josh Hutcherson is like slightly shorter than what we would have expected Peeta to be. However, one thing that really bothers is like, okay, I get that he's physically smaller. However, you could have still kept the fact that he was insanely strong, or shown it some other way. Maybe not, because like literally in the movie he just like throws something and like knocks like spears. That's it. Like they could have done so much, like so many things to showcase either him accidentally breaking things, or kind of like almost like things that Katniss couldn't carry. And he's like, what, this? To show how physically able, and maybe also show him a little bit more how good of a fighter he was, because it's slightly described in the books, not shown in the movie. But it is said that especially that Katniss was great with the arrow, like with her bow and arrow. She was great, and she was great like especially in like far away combat, from afar. Peeta was the other way around, because he was such a strong guy. He was perfect for contact fighting. And it is shown how even Cato and like all the careers had a hard time like sparring with Peeta. And also like the trainers had a hard time sparring with Peeta because he was so insanely strong, despite him not having been trained in combat at all, just because of his work in the bakery. If that could have been shown, you could understand, like the stakes would have been higher. Because literally in the movie, even though like the training montage was great, you could not see how skilled all the careers were, because you saw no sparing. You saw them like standing in a line, going through they're like hanging on things, but we didn't see how much Thresh was of a Thresh's like physical strength. Yes. Or we could not see Rue's agility, or we could not. Yes, we saw a little bit of Foxface's like intellect. However, there are a lot of things about the different like tributes that could have been like maybe snippets, or could have been like shown, that showcased the different strengths of each of the districts. For example, District 4, even though technically is a career and like quote unquote like career district, how they're great with water and how they're great with spears, but that is never shown in the movies. Like I think that the lethal aspect of the tributes was a lot like really played down, and it was in the movie was more as they were just victims of the game makers and the situations that they put them in, instead of them being victims of each other because of each other's need to pretty much be the victor and go out of them, like go like get out of the arena alive. Mm-hmm. I think that especially in the first movie, that like the stakes and the need to pretty much be the victor that comes out alive are not as like masterfully done, or the stakes are not like, you cannot feel the tension almost bubbling over. You see, yes, the shakiness, you see Katniss's anxiety and Katniss's panic over it, and almost her not being. And also a thing that really kind of like is like downplays it is the, in general, in like especially in that one, you don't see as much brutality from each of the victors in general. Well, in the book, it is described to a great extent, to the point I was like, you could hear bones cracking. And like, I was like, oh God. And in the movie, it was like high pitched sound, everybody running, her running the opposite side. You see none of the carnage. You see none of the demises. It's like, I wanted to see the training, to see them fall, almost as gladiators. Instead, we go and see trees. Why?
Although one part of that bloodbath in the movie that always kind of gets me is the little boy who like hides in the cornucopia, and like for a second you think, oh, he might get away, and then Kato just
Wait, do you mean like when he like snaps his neck, or is that?
the little boy at the bloodbath at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Now I
but
remember
he
that.
hits him with the back of the sword.
Yeah.
If you wanted something brutal, you give Kato, instead of a sword, you give him an axe and make him like hit the kid with an axe. You want brutal? I don't think that there's anything more brutal than an axe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Just
why in
ask
like
him.
scary movies and serial killers, they
Yeah.
give them an axe instead of anything else.
I mean, there's a reason we're all haunted by the story of Lizzie Borden.
I mean, true. Imagine, if a serial killer or someone's running after you with an axe, a sword, a knife, or a gun, I think I would run more panically if I see them holding an axe. Just saying.
Maybe that's why Joanna's so deadly.
I mean, it's a double-edged like axe that is just a whole other level of.
Yeah. But we're not there yet. We're not.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're not there.
Actually, no, I can bring her up. Why? Because even though she's not named, Joanna is mentioned in this book, because when they're leaving to go on the train to go to the capital, Katniss like makes an effort not to show any emotion on her face because she doesn't want to be perceived as weak. And as they're leaving, she sees that Peeta has been crying, and her first thought isn't, oh, he's sad. It's, this must be part of his strategy to appear weak in order to throw everything off. Kind of weird coming from him, though, because he's such a strong-looking guy. And she's like, this strategy worked for one tribute a couple of years ago. She pretended to be weak the entire time and then caught everyone off guard in the arena, and that was Joanna.
Yes, because she pretty much almost, I think, chopped to death all the rest of the tributes when she was like 14.
Yeah, like once she got hold of an axe, like toward the end,
because she was part of Rue's district, which is lumberjacks.
No, from 11, Joanna came from 7.
Sorry, 7. Then what is 7?
Yeah, no, 7 is the lumberjacks. 11's the agriculture.
Sorry, yes. So she was from District 7, which was lumberjacks. So that's why you never give someone from the district of lumberjacks an axe. Yeah. They know how to use it, and they will.
Yeah, they will.
Which caused it to be one of the bloodiest games in history, because she found an axe.
Yep.
And in this case, they weren't as many axes. Do you think that in that particular games, they wanted the tributes to die out of like natural disasters or things that the game makers made instead of each other's brutality? That's why they did it in the woods. What do you think? What do you guys think?
That's a good point, actually, because this is the year before A Quarter Quell. I could see the game makers maybe wanting to play it a little more, I don't know, I guess safer, and like have the and because I feel like a forest is like a fairly standard arena, so they were trying to like save like the big excitement for next year for the 75th games.
Yeah, so do they change it up every year, or is it always the same?
Yeah, so well, actually, we learned in the prequel, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, that for the first 10 years they were using the same arena, which was like an old amphitheater in the capital, and after that is when they started doing a different arena each year.
Oh, so they're not like prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like, and it's like kept under wraps, like only like a handful of people know what the arena is gonna look like. Because,
and that's when the game maker position or designer was created.
Yep. And like Casina, her stylist has no idea, because in the book, when he's unwrapping the clothes that she's going to change into to wear into the arena, he has no idea what it's going to be, and he just makes guesses. Like when he looks at the jacket, he's like, it's really insulated, expect some cold nights.
Or in the next arena, oh, it is a suit. You're going to have to swim. Please tell me that you know how to swim.
Yeah, and she does, thankfully.
One, yay, she knows how to swim. If not, she is done for.
Yeah, good thing her father took her to that lake to learn how to swim, which may or may not be important in Ballad of Songbirds and Snake. That's all I'll say.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, movie people, what do you guys think about that specific arena? Do you think it was what was your take on the arena? Did you think that it was mysterious, that it was particularly bad? What do you think of the irony of Seneca Crane's beard being flames, and the fact that like the overall kind of like fire, because there is a fire theme, not only with Seneca's beard that almost looks like fire, Katniss being the girl on fire, and the pretty much the arena almost half being burned by fire. What do you guys think about that?
It's interesting because when I rewatched it today, I thought about this. I thought about how Katniss Everdeen, where she comes from, District 12, like her favorite place to be really is in the forests, like with trees and everything. And I thought about, like, what if, because Seneca Crane like took some like inspiration from where Katniss lives and kind of puts it into the games, puts it into the arena. And that's kind of, I don't know exactly how the gamekeeper exactly wanted it to be, but I think that was a really interesting way of showing it. And that's why I think it's different each time, because it goes based on like the strengths and maybe weaknesses of people that are in the arena playing the games. That's how I see it.
But like they didn't technically know that she would go into the forest, right? Because that was like forbidden land.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, in the book it's mentioned that hunting is forbidden, owning weapons is forbidden, but because food isn't as easy to come by in District 12, and even the peacekeepers don't get the best meat. The peacekeepers know Katniss and Gale are hunting. They just like turn a blind eye and even buy meat from them. What do you think of the fire themes, Lily?
Fire. I don't know. I just think it's ironic that it's like I watched it now that I work with fire forecasting. I don't know. Every time I see fire, I just like it just like goes to all the different things. Like also, so one part of fire weather is the fuels. So were those like, was it like a dry forest? Is that why it all caught on flames? I mean, I'm sure that they just made it dry and they're like, oh, fire. But I don't know.
Hilarious, guys.
Yeah. And also to spread that quickly, you need pretty strong winds. Did they have strong winds?
I think that what they did was like they were like flamethrowers on the.
Oh, and they just kind of lit everything. Like they're like, this one's fire, this one's on fire, this is on fire. Whew.
Katniss even notes in the book, she's like, this was not someone's campfire gone wrong. Like this, like the flames are moving in unnatural ways. This is clearly like game maker made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think everything's gonna cause a fire now.
There's like a plane or helicopter flying over me right now. So or hovercraft. Who knows? Maybe it's a hovercraft. The Capitol's watching.
Because also it is put, and I think that it was put in the movie quite skillfully, was how easily the arena could change. Because in the movie it is supposed to like, oh, I want a tree there. He just like presses and there's a tree that almost falls on Katniss. So what do you guys think about like personally, as people that have only seen like the movie in general, did you think that the arena was quite deadly, or it was a little bit less, like a little bit underwhelming?
I think it could have been a little deadlier for me. I think they could have added like a few more, like they could have added a few more different types of beasts, like the muttons and the yellow jackets, and or what are they called? The yellow is it
Tracker
the yellow jackets or yellow trackers? Like it's been
jackers.
Tracker jackers.
tracker jackers. Okay, so I was wrong on both accounts. But yeah, so I think they could have added like maybe a few more of those things here and there. But
Oh, I don't mean
I
to.
don't know. Oh,
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just warning you. It is 7:37 right now, and I know you have to go soon, Patrick. So there's just
yeah.
one more scene, or actually two more things I just want to cover with you real quick before
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I'll probably be here until like 7:55, so it should be
So,
fine.
um, what it so like speaking of things that we got to see like the game makers do to manipulate how things work, and go pulling outside of Katniss's point of view. What did you guys think of like all the extra scenes added with President Snow?
It's that was those are the one things that I thought those were the speaking. It's funny. That was the one thing that I thought it deviates from the book interestingly because in the book it's really more of the first person point of view. When you get to the scenes out of the snow, it's kind of like, okay, so what point of view is it? What is that? What does that really consider? Because we're now going from Katniss's point of view to like a scene with Seneca and Snow, or a scene with Haymitch and Seneca, or any of those scenes. So I feel like there's a word for it, like for the type of narration that it is, but I don't know. I can't remember the exact name right now. But I mean, I thought in terms of acting, it was good. It was fine. Donald Sutherland, happy birthday, man. He can act.
Yep, he's been doing
Yeah.
this for a while now.
Yeah.
And like I mean, personally, oh yes, personally, I thought that that specific, like the glimpses of Snow was very like intelligently played
Mm.
in order to not to only have like the villain almost like looming around the arena and like showing like really showing who was the true like puppet master behind everything and the one who was losing the most. And to me it was quite satisfactory to see his almost like incredibility and almost anger towards Katniss because she
Yeah.
was almost like the mouse that wouldn't die because he is almost like a snake. So he was like she was
or a
the
cat.
mouse. Yes, like no, it's like a snake because he is if you see his eyes, how he moves, how he thinks, how easily how he takes poison. He
Yeah.
is a snake and he like she is the mouse that was supposed to be swallowed by the snakes that isn't and not only refuses to die but refuses to play by the rules of his game. So I thought that that also increased a little bit the stakes a little bit more because you could see the bigger picture, not only Katniss's traumatic like life in the arena, which was filled with at least like audibly a lot of panting, a lot of like crunching sounds
Yeah.
from the from the like from the ground, and also like people coming in and like branches moving, but
Yeah.
also the stillness of like of Snow scenes, how like especially how when he is with his with I think that that scene was brilliantly done when Snow is with his granddaughter, who has the exact same hairstyle as Katniss. When she says, "I hope that one day I love someone like that, like
Ooh.
Grandpa," and he says, "You will, like you will, my darling, you will one day." And also the fact that the little girl is wearing the exact same hairstyle that Katniss is wearing is a very smart way to showcase the great impact that Katniss's existence is having, not only in general the games, but also the general population, and even so his own granddaughter.
Yeah.
How he wants to get rid of her, but he really cannot, as he is his granddaughter's even favorite victor. So it's like, what kind of monster has this year created?
and like you said about raising the stakes on on having him appear more in the movie as like this looming evil overlording everything, kind of leads into the most important scene, which is when Katniss takes out the berries. Because in the book, like, because we've only been in her point of view, like, we just see this as like a personal thing. Like, this feels like a very personal story, like Katniss. So she's like, that she just wants to outsmart the game, so she and Peeta can go home because she's like has this deep connection with him now. It's not quite on the romantic territory yet, but she still feels connected and tied to this person. So she doesn't want to lose him. So they do that, and it's like, as the reader, I was relieved, like, yay, they win. And but having, like, in the movie, having seen Snow, especially that scene where he's talking about to Seneca Crane how, like, you have to contain that hope. A spark is fine long as it's contained, and you understand immediately, especially when you pan to everyone's reactions when Katniss pulls out the berries, like, this is bigger, and
Yeah.
this is the hope no longer being contained. So you understand before Katniss does in the movie that, oh, this is gonna have so many consequences.
Yeah.
And also because if you understand that even her death would mean something, because what she did with the berries was almost like Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. That everyone is a sucker for. I mean, how many versions of Romeo and Juliet have there been?
I just read a duology that was a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it was amazing.
Exactly. Everybody loves Romeo and Juliet. I mean, William Shakespeare, you are everywhere.
He even
400
made
years
a sequel.
It's like 400 years later, you are still a reference in everything. Yes. But almost, it was even like Katniss became a martyr. Not even Peeta. Katniss herself became a martyr, the heroine, the savior, almost like this rugged girl that deep down had feelings for the boy, and she was willing to die for love, despite her being in a horrible arena, despite her being a gladiator, which is like the ultimate underdog. I mean, she was not only from the first district, she was not raped. She volunteered for her sister. So again, which is brownie points. She was not only a great hunter and everyone wanted to kill her, but had like the highest rate of like, I think of like, she was rated as the highest.
Yeah.
And like,
it drove Kato crazy because for him, he's like, ego's been boosted his whole life. Like, oh, you're going to be the greatest tribute ever from the best district. And then this girl who comes from nowhere, who hasn't had the same training he has, gets a higher score than him. This thing.
What did he get? A 10?
Yeah, like a 10.
Okay.
And
yeah,
then Katniss got an 11.
Yep.
Yeah, a scrawny little girl from District 12 who probably has never eaten right and who's never really trained got a higher score than him. And not only that, it's just that it got to the point that even his it's the ultimate betrayal. Even Snow's granddaughter was rooting for her. And it's almost like what she did, even if she would have died, even if she would have taken the berries, and Peeta would have taken the berries too, and pretty much taken away the Capitol's victor, and the Capitol's, it pretty much showcased that the Capitol really didn't have any power at all, because they only had power because people let it happen. So even herself dying, she would have always been dead or alive. She was already a martyr. She was already a light of hope. She was already pretty much the boss, which I don't think that Snow, being in his fabulous 70s, 80s person that he was, could have, like, his ego and his everything could have like withstand it. Because how come, like, he's like 80, how the quack does a 16-year-old underfed girl wins in a game specifically made to watch her die? Not only does she not die, but becomes the new game master. How? Which I think that like the writer did a great job, and the movie sadly did not showcase, even though those snippets with Snow created a greater kind of like a almost like bigger picture of the whole thing, and you see how all the pieces, almost like a board game, all the pieces are being put, especially with Rue's death and what causes outside of the capital and the districts. And then every single decision that is made in the games has an aftermath outside of the games. I think that was brilliantly done. But personally, I would have wanted to see a little bit more of the, almost a little bit of Snow's inability. Like, this came out of his hands. He can no longer do anything. And by the end, it would have made Katniss's wearing of the Mockingjay a little bit more satisfactory. When he's like, "What is that?" "Oh, it's a Mockingjay. It's from my district." It would be the ultimate middle finger to an 80-year-old man and dictator. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think it's funny how you described like Snow's interactions with Katniss, and then at the end of the first movie, it's just kind of like, "Thank you, it's from my district." It's just like just reduce it all to that. That's fine. It's fine.
Especially like when you know context from the prequel, it's like, whoop.
Can we spoil it? Can we spoil it, Ali? Can we spoil it?
No,
I mean, it's probably going to be a while since I see the ballad of.
yeah, as long as you guys don't care about spoilers, because for the listeners, in multiple episodes I'm constantly referencing things from Ballad.
Wait, what's it called again? The
Okay.
Ballad of. You know what I get confused by? The Ballad of Buster Skeggs or something. I mean, it's that
Snakes.
Songbirds and Snakes. It's like I get confused with that HBO Max movie. That's
Okay.
Okay, dear listeners, I am so sorry for the future spoilers, but I am way too excited, and I'm sure I apologize if you hate me. Alyson, I am so sorry to say this, but we have to spoil it. Yeah. Katniss is literally, okay, spoilers. Katniss is literally Snow's own personal demon.
And she doesn't know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, okay, in Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, how Snow becomes who he is, it's because remember that Haymitch is the second tribute from District 12 that wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The first one was a girl named Lucy Gray, who herself was a singer. Who herself was a singer. She is the one that was under Snow's kind of like mentorship when she went to the games. Snow had a little bit of a thing for her. She not only became the victor that year, she was also kind of like trying to help Panem pretty much become different, and then Snow kills her.
Well, that's actually unclear, that part.
Well, it's unclear. She goes off to the woods running away.
Disappears, and it's unclear if he killed her or not.
Exactly, but she's profusely bleeding. The chances that she dies is like 99%. Only it's not stated that she dies.
Well, basically, she's dead.
We're not even sure.
Exactly, and she is the beginning of his rise to power. She marks his rise to power. And what's ironic is that decades later, another girl from the exact same district, who, as the first one, volunteers to go to the games, who also is a singer, who also likes Mockingjays, who also braids her hair, goes to the games, and despite it all, she wins.
Oh, wow.
Just like how no one expected Lucy Gray to win, but she did. No one really expected Katniss to win, but she did.
And also it marks the start of his end. So his beginning and his end of him being Snow, pretty much the dictator, is both marked by a girl. So imagine once you know that Snake's like hatred towards Katniss, and also his little line, "I thought we had agreed to never lie to each other." That makes sense because he made the exact same thing with Lucy, to never lie to one another. So what if Katniss herself is almost like Karma's rendition of Lucy Gray again, coming back to pretty much make Snow pay for everything he's done.
Woo!
And
And
also,
by the end,
no, go.
and how, like, spoilers later on with later movies, when Snow dies, even though Lucy Gray died by the hands of Snow, Katniss pretty much spares his life by killing Coin instead, and he is surrendered to the people and he's killed by the mob instead. But it pretty much, she breaks the cycle by not killing him, and that let's not killing him. So he killed the girl, but the second girl didn't kill him.
Woo! Wow.
Also, something to add. I won't give all the details away because I want you guys to have a few surprises for the movie. But
Yes.
but there is a point in the book where in Ballad where Lucy Gray is singing to her cousin, a little girl, and she's singing the song Deep in the Meadow, which is what Katniss sings to Rue as she's dying. So imagine Snow's reaction to seeing Katniss sing that song
Decades later, when they were not even related.
And that's part of the show because everybody is watching the show.
Yep.
Oh.
Interesting.
Insane.
I can't wait for the movie now.
which makes like Snow's hatred, natural hatred towards Katniss on what she represents and everything, and him automatically just pointing her as a threat since second number one. He was the only one who said that is a threat, eliminate her. He's the only one who knew, and I was like, no, it's a girl. He was like, no, you have.
Dangerous.
Oh, fire!
Yeah, like because he of all people knows. Not now, Lori. Sorry, texting. Because he of all people knows the potential of the harm that a girl from a poor district could cause. And I know you have to go in a couple minutes, Patrick, but
Yeah. What's the other scene?
Yeah, no, the berry scene, which we kind of touched on.
Okay.
Like just your reaction to that. And before you go, just tell people where to find you. Plug yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I also give out one-on-one lessons at Connolly's Characters. So if you guys need any acting, singing lessons, just find me on Instagram at Patrick T Connolly, as well as Act, Create, Inspire, Sing. And yeah, I also do group workshops too, so you'll see me post kind of that stuff.
I'll link it in the show notes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And yeah, and also this was a great time. I enjoyed everyone like talking about Hunger Games. I mean, it's been like a while since I've actually gotten reintroduced to the Hunger Games because I kind of watched like bits and pieces here and there, but like getting a chance to watch the movie today before this, like it gave me kind of like an appreciation of what the Hunger Games like represents, like beyond the movies and more into like the book universe. And now like I'm really, really excited to see the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes now. Like that what you guys described, it's like, oh, this is some good storytelling. I love this. So it's really cool. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. I mean, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope to do more of these.
Yeah, no, definitely when like Catching Fire rolls around, I want to have more people around to talk about that as well, because that's a big one.
Wait, what movie?
When Catching
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta read through the book, and then I'll talk about the movie, just like I did with this one.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
So have fun at your thing, Patrick. I will see you later.
Yes, have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye. Okay, then there were 3. All right, so Lillie, I guess like what was your reaction like just from a moviegoer point of view, like to that berry scene, like when Kato dies and you're like, yay, they win, then they're like, oh, never mind, you got only one winner. What were your thoughts? Because you were like, oh my god, how are they gonna get out of this?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like what my initial reaction was 10 years ago.
I know it's hard to remember.
This time around, like I knew that they were both gonna like go at the same time, but then they were stopped. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I forgot that they changed the rules like last minute. Like I just thought like, oh, that was a rule one person. Like they didn't even think about, oh, if there's two, like why do they make them try to kill each other? But yeah, also like again with like the quickness of it, I just thought I just remember the scene taking longer to like unfold. I don't know. I just, they were like just had them in their hand and they're like 1, 2, stop.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was more dramatic than that. I don't know. But
Actually, it is in the book, because in the book, they actually do start to put the berries in their mouth before Claudius is like, stop, and they have to like spit it out and wash their mouths out in the lake.
oh, yeah. That seems more dramatic.
Yeah. Then the hovercraft comes to pick him up. And then they have to immediately start operating on PETA because, like I said, he was like close to death.
Did also wash like both of like probably stomach contents and like their mouths to make sure that no poison is left.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like once that happened, I feel like the end to me was just a blur. It just kind of was like, oh,
yeah. Like,
rush like the end and
gotta get to the end on a cool shot of snow looking menacingly at the screen.
yeah, but even like with that, I was expecting something more like something showing, oh yeah, there's gonna be more. But even that, like it kind of gave me like, oh, we're done here vibes,
It's like underwhelming. Slightly.
Yeah. Like not like, oh my God, I want to see the next movie, or like, oh my God, is there a next movie coming? Like, I don't know. It just seemed like underwhelming personally. I was like kind of over it at that point. I was like, okay, well, nothing. And then I was watching through the credits, waiting for like a cut scene or something after that, and then nothing happened there either.
Ruined our brains with that.
Yeah, I know. but yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I'm over it.
I mean, I think they did that because maybe they weren't sure if like the franchise would become a franchise and they could get a second movie.
That's
maybe
true. It's a valid
but
point.
I mean, but I do have to like appreciate how Seneca Crane died, how he was made to eat berries. I was like, that is just so sadistic. I love it.
Yeah.
And morbid, so morbid. I love it.
Oh, by the way, I heard a fan theory, like more about the movies than the books, because we don't really see Seneca Crane in the book, that Seneca was secretly a rebel.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because if you notice, like, I know that fate is quite like, may the odds be ever in your favor. I mean, fate is tricky and fate is like usually on the nose, but the arena was too much on the nose. And how like indirectly, like, I mean, he could have just like literally just put one of the flamethrowers under Katniss and just went like, she's gone, if like Seneca really wanted to get rid of her. But he didn't, and he dragged it out. It's like, why? And also Seneca took his death a little too well, like he was expecting it. I mean, I do understand that gay makers were killed constantly and it was not a position that everybody wanted.
It's not,
but I mean,
your job.
I mean, true. But I mean, if Seneca was actually like low-key a rebel, it makes it makes the arena not only a great tribute, but also a little bit not sad, but brilliant in its own way. Because he pretty much knew that if he wasn't into a rebel, he knew that that arena would cost him his life. So he made specifically the arena the perfect like environment for Katniss to thrive, for Katniss to win, for Katniss to become the light that they needed. And pretty much it was like a rendition of his life's work.
And he did, before the parade even started, before Katniss debuted like the fire costume, when you see that quick scene of him and Caesar interviewing, he's like, what do you think of this year's like crop of tributes? And he's like, oh, well, it's hard to tell from just a reaping, but we got a volunteer from an outlying district that you can't ignore. Like, he singled Katniss out already.
Yeah.
Planting the idea in everyone's mind that, oh, this is someone special.
I mean, because if he was a rebel, that would have been brilliant. If not, then he just made a huge mistake.
We should probably wrap this up soon because we've been talking for I think over 2 hours now. I'm definitely splitting this episode into multiple parts, and like I said, I want to go get ice cream now because it's National Ice Cream Day.
I need to make dinner.
That's important. Yeah.
I need to turn on the AC.
Yeah. Me too. I kept it blasting for as long as I could, then had to turn it off as soon as we started recording because it's very noisy.
I just don't keep mine on in the day because, like, I mean, usually my apartment's like pretty all right. I mean, we've been getting like, yeah, right now my watch says it's 99 degrees out. But I can't. I have to sleep with it on at night because else I won't sleep. So I just turn it on at night. But
all right. So, any quick final thoughts you guys want to share?
So overall thoughts, this was a great movie, great casting, very smart, like very smart decisions in regards to sound, in regards to not only age of the cast, but sound, music, and directorial decisions. Also in not as great in costumes in the costume department. However, I do appreciate the palettes that were done for each of the different places, and overall the hotness of and the great actors of the movie. You have to applaud, you have to love, and the fact that it was almost shot as an indie movie. I mean, you have to love it. Anyone, please, Lillie.
Okay, Lillie, final thoughts?
well, it was good getting back into it, and now I really need to see like the next few movies.
And you come back on for the podcast when we get to those movies.
Yes. But yeah, definitely like it's good to see it again and like relive it and have a new perspective. Like, I don't know, 10 years later, and especially like when I first saw it, I was 13.
We're babies. We knew nothing.
I know, like now, I don't know. I don't remember how I reacted when I first saw it in the movie theaters, but I know here I had some like reactions, and I was like, I was FaceTiming my boyfriend while like I was watching it, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, what happened? I was like, this person died. Oh, they're like the woods are on fire.
And it's like, oh no, evil government manipulating its citizens.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, any similarities to
I know.
realities or just the coincidence, people?
Yeah, totally.
Very realistic.
I mean, anyway, yeah, great
Great
movie.
Allie, your final thoughts.
Yeah, really, really great movie. Well done adaptation. Like there's a reason it has a reputation of being like one of the better known adaptations for books, and like you said, Gabby, it does have a cool like indie movie vibe, even though it's not my favorite movie in the series. I do appreciate it because, and I do kind of like it because, as we've discussed, like the first Hunger Games book feels like the most like personal and intimate story, and it having that kind of indie movie feel, I think, goes with it, because then once it gets like the bigger, grander scale in Catching Fire and Mockingjay, that kind of reflects Katniss's reality, because it's no longer like just her own personal survival story. There are much now bigger things at stake that she can no longer ignore.
And also the quarter quell.
Yes. That'll be exciting to talk about. Oh boy.
Yes. So finally it's like we love, but like Woody Harrelson,
Yes.
Donald Sutherland, Stanley Tucci, Lenny Kravitz, Elizabeth Banks, everyone in the cast. We love you.
Love you guys. And don't forget to tell people where to find you guys. Plug yourselves.
Lillie.
Places. Anything weather related. Lillie Farrell WX. I'll put the spelling in the thing because I have an IE, but
yeah, just text me what you guys want me to write down in the show notes. And then
need fire resources, hit me up. Got a lot of those. I can show you where all the fires are happening.
Yep.
Just kind of sad, but that's what I do.
No, it was like fire. That was like fire. That's hot. No pun intended.
I mean, fire melts snow. Ha ha ha.
Fire does melt snow.
I mean, you are very on theme. Hunger Games, Girl on Fire. You literally work with fire. Very on theme.
I kept singing that like throughout the movie. It was like, this girl is on fire.
I love it.
That is precious.
Okay, Gabby, I know to link your Instagram. Anything else I should?
Okay, my name is Gaby Manuel. I am on Instagram at Gaby Manuel. That's how it's spelled is probably on the link below. I also have a YouTube channel, which is again Gaby Manuel, which the spelling is also down below. I'm also on Facebook if you like it as well. It's also on the link below. I don't have Twitter though. I should get on Twitter. I promise I'll get on Twitter.
Yeah,
And
you though, Twitter's can be a hellhole.
Twitter's
Yes,
big in
and-
the community. Let me tell you, that's like whether Twitter. That's how I know most of like my connections from that.
yes. And I'll promise I'll probably get around getting on TikTok soon. I am not yet on TikTok. I promise I will. However, thank you so much, like Alyson, for having me in this gorgeous podcast yet again. Hopefully you'll continue to invite me because this is literally the highlight of my week. It is. Please, hi, dear listeners, dear readers, dear listeners, please continue to listen to this podcast. Please like it. Please recommend it to your friends, recommend it to your peers, because we had a great time doing this podcast, and especially Alyson has every single week such great podcasts with such insight about books and movies, and it's simply amazing. So Alyson, back to you.
Yeah. Yep. Link for podcasts, Instagram there, and I did start a TikTok for the podcast. So
Oh,
that's a new thing to follow, and I also just literally just started a YouTube channel for the podcast. So I am slowly but surely working on converting all the audio for this podcast to put on YouTube, because I have like over 20 episodes now, 30 if you count all the bonus episodes. So it's going to take some time, and I am working on like just some extra bonus content to also put on YouTube. I don't currently have any content loaded on YouTube, but I'm aiming for the end of this week to have content on there. So still, I'll link it down below. Still go and subscribe so you're notified once I have stuff on there to talk about.
So subscribe, share, and a lot is yet to come, dear listeners.
Like I said, I have a lot of favorite books, a lot of favorite series. I'm going to be taking up space on the internet for a while now. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you so much to everyone who came on today, including the ones who had to leave early. I love you guys. Shout out to you. I hope everyone has a great day/night whenever you're listening, and I will talk to you next time when we are talking about the first 3 chapters of Catching Fire.
Yeah!
So we got that to look forward to. Shit's about to go down. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. May the odds be ever in your favor.
I can't whistle.